to DCS Messerschmitt 109 Taxi and Takeoff Training. I'm Top Gun with the AK War Dog Squadron. If you are watching this video directly after viewing my 109 startup video, I have one minor correction to make, and that is regarding the radiator flap setting. You can actually start the aircraft with either the radiator flaps full open or in automatic. It doesn't really seem to make a difference either way. The main difference is going to be if you have it set to full open, it will take longer for the engine to get up to temperature. I had stated in the startup video to have it off to the 3 o'clock position there. That's actually the full open position. So if you don't want to spend quite as long on the ground getting the engine warmed up, you can go ahead and set it to the 12 o'clock position, which is the automatic. I flip-flop those in the video. So one minor correction there. Aside from that, let's go ahead and get to the differences of this aircraft compared to the others we've done up to this point. I've done the P-51 and the Focke-Wulf 190 previously. Both of those two aircraft operated almost exactly the same as far as handling characteristics. The Messerschmitt is a little bit of a different beast, and I can show you why here if I switch to the F2 view. As you can see, the undercarriage is a lot narrower. They're much closer together, and that gives you a couple of inherent problems as far as stability. So if you're taxiing, you want to just keep an eye on your speed and make sure you're not going too fast, especially around corners. And you will have to be a bit more careful with your handling for takeoffs and landings, especially with regards to landings, making sure that you're not coming in too fast. You want to basically land as slow as possible, but we'll cover that part in a later mission. So for now, I'll go ahead and bring up my controls indicator so you can see everything that's going on. And if we contact ATC first so we can avoid them yelling at us while we're moving around.
Kudasi, in field 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Enfield 1-1. Kutaisi, clear to taxi to runway 8.
Alright, now they won't yell at us. So, like the other aircraft, you will need to have differential brakes set, so one control for the left brake, one for the right. I'll go ahead and stand on the left, and you can see the turning radius of this. It operates pretty much in the same fashion. You can pivot directly off of one wheel. Again, you'll want to be mindful of the speed, but as you can see, you can still pretty much turn on a dime. Alright, so let's get out to the runway here. And the tail wheel, before we go any further, does not lock in the same way that the 190 and the P-51 does. In those aircraft, it actually locks or unlocks with the position of the stick. Here, though, it's not like that. It actually is controlled by this control right here, and this moves forward and back. And in the back position, it's freewheeling, and in the forward position, it's locked. So we'll keep it in the back unlocked position for now, and we'll go ahead and taxi. And I've got the canopy closed just so I don't have to deal with the engine noise, but you'll probably want to keep it open so you can see better. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and move this gun sight out of the way. And again, if you're on a server that has externals enabled, you can cheat a little bit and use F2 to see where you're going and to get lined up on the runway when you get out there. There's no shame in getting a little bit of help, especially when you're first starting out. Also in the controls, which I can't get to because you actually have to not be in a server, I should have mentioned this in the previous couple of videos, but with all of the World War II fighters, if you go into the controls setting in DCS and you go to the special tab, and then you select on the World War II aircraft that you're wanting to fly, so the P-51, the 190, the 109, or the Spit, there's a slider bar on that tab called Takeoff Assist, and it goes from 0 to 100%, 100% being fully helpful. But basically it makes it easier to take off with these aircraft. I'm not exactly sure how it does it. I'm guessing it reduces the amount of oscillations that get introduced from engine torque and things like that. I have mine all set to 0 so you can see the full effects, but if you're just starting out and you're having difficulties, bear in mind that is a tool that you can use to help you out. So just remember, outside of a server, go into your DCS options, go to the special tab, and go to the aircraft and turn on. It should probably be on by default, but turn it on to whatever value you want. I think it's set to 100% by default. So let's go ahead and get clearance from ATC to take off.
Kudasi, in field 1-1, request takeoff. Enfield 1-1, Kutaisi, you are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QFE 29.77.
Okay, and let's verify that we're ready. The radiator flaps are in the up automatic position. Double check, make sure your engine governor is in automatic, which is this switch here. It needs to be pulled back towards you. You can go ahead and flip up the cover for the landing gear here as well. And you'll also want elevator trim to be forward to 1. And even with that, you're still going to want to probably have significant forward stick force once you've lifted off from the ground. So just you have to be ready for it. Again, like the other aircraft, the typical behaviors are seen as far as you tend to want to do some right rudder, some right aileron. You don't have to have the stick back in your lap for this aircraft, although it probably wouldn't hurt just to keep aerodynamic forces keeping the tail down initially to help prevent any oscillations. I tend to do the brute force method where you advance the throttle not instantly but fairly quickly to pretty much maximum in order to reduce your roll time. Something else you can do here is if your artificial horizon seems to be a little off kilter, you can rotate the bezel to recage it and then rotate it back to unlock it again. And also, if you need to, you can adjust your altimeter pressure by rotating this knob down here, get it down to 0 feet. So let's go ahead and get onto the runway here. And with the 109, like most of the other, like the Mustang, you really don't need any flaps. I mean, you could potentially use a little bit if you need to, especially if it's a short field, but generally speaking, you shouldn't need too much of it or any. Alright, so once we're reasonably lined up, lock the tail wheel. And again, if you want to cheat, you can switch to F2. Alright, so let's get going. And once you start feeling the controls respond, you need to null it out. That was a little wobbly, but it's not too bad. And once you got a positive rate, go ahead and raise the gear. And you can take off in this aircraft with the MW50 system armed or not. It doesn't seem to really make a difference. And once you're in the air, you can go ahead and reactivate your gun sight. And you also have your your weapon controls on-off switch here, and also one on the stick that you'll have to key map in order to make your weapons hot. And last but not least, you've got the third circuit breaker from the top, 1, 2, 3, right here. That's the nav lights. You can hit the red button next to that to turn your lights off so you're not so visible. And at this point, if you need to, you can adjust your elevator trim. But at this point, you're pretty much good to go. But if you have any questions, as always, feel free to contact me. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much.